I had a really rough start with For Honor. Nothing I tried seemed timed correctly, I wasn't able to dodge back from attacks, and my heavy hits would either not register or just cause me to lose my lock on the enemy altogether. I hated it. I hated For Honor for these baffling mechanics. As it turned out, my controller was broken. So yes, many of my inputs weren't actually registering correctly. Now you might be wondering why I'm bringing up the fact that my controller was broken. Well, it ultimately demonstrated to me the very fine line that For Honor walks between moments of absolute triumph and moments of controller squeezing frustration. Once I'd figured out that my controller was initially the problem and I began to learn the nuances, it allowed me to understand how finely tuned For Honor's mechanics really are. That being said, it is true that For Honor can be incredibly frustrating nonetheless, but this isn't a fault. It demands such focus, such commitment to every button press that every loss is a huge blow. But this really does show the strength of For Honor because it's unrelentingly intense. It's at its best during the 1v1 or 2v2 matches. No distractions, no objectives, just you and your opponent bracing for each other's attacks. There are 12 characters in total, split into 3 groups of 4. You've got your Knights, your Vikings, and my personal favourite, the Samurai, with each class having a fast, standard, strong and heavy variant. Each character has a different moveset that you must use to your advantage. For example, my favourite is Nobushi. She's quick with high stamina, very good at dodging with a speedy ranged attack. She's lethal and hard to hit from a distance, but guard break her and get in a heavy attack and she's as good as dead. Whereas on the flip side, for example, the Vikings have the Raider, slow, heavy and hard to counter. 2 or 3 well-timed hits from this guy and your head is quickly removed from your body. Squeeze in a few swift light attacks after a nimble dodge however and you can quickly chip away at his health. For Honor has a huge learning curve, and not just for learning the character's vastly different movesets, but also learning how to counter every character. As I said, it can be very frustrating initially, but in a way that will make you want to improve, to understand and to win. There's a weird sense of bloodlust one can get from winning, but this is only in the multiplayer. Now, I don't want to dismiss the campaign entirely, but it is so tedious. I could forgive the tightly scripted nature of the levels if the story were compelling, but, well, you can see where this is going. The boss fights are quite good mind, each one plays out far more unpredictably than a standard combat encounter. It keeps you on your toes and ensures that you properly manage your tactics. But to get any hint of a challenge you have to play this on hard, and even then the AI is still way too easy to predict, making even hard mode too easy for the most part. I think the tediousness of the campaign became most apparent when I discovered that you can literally just run through every level, ignoring every enemy, and activate the objectives. There's no reason to actually engage with each level's waves of enemies, which are intended to give the impression of exciting large-scale battle. Honestly, you'll have far more engagement from just playing the AI on a 4v4 skirmish match. These at least require you to capture and maintain 3 points on the map, giving you both input and engagement with the events. So I wouldn't recommend that you pick up For Honor for the story, because for both the narrative and the gameplay there is nothing there. However, if you're happy with a multiplayer-only experience, or bot matches, I would highly recommend For Honor. It's tough. It demands patience, understanding, and a desire to really learn the mechanics and movesets. But once you're there, in the moment, standing mere feet from your opponent, waiting for them to make the first move, gripping your controller, it is absolutely worth it. So, For Honor is something of a scattered mess when it comes to the overall package, but when it focuses down to the intimate standoffs, you will find no experience that is so simultaneously gripping, frustrating, yet completely unmatched in a triumphant sense of achievement from winning a tough fight.
押してまいる